Okay. Just answer fast. What is static variable? At least in chat box, reply fast. These things you know it. What is static variable? My screen is visible.
That is allocated statically.
It is allocated statically. What is that meaning? Statically allocation means what?
It is fixed
The
for the
variable
entire
remains
program, sir.
Very well remains.
in the memory serve while program is still in running.
Okay. So my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So here, what may be the output of this program? In main, variable I is there. Okay. In for loop, I equal to 0 to I less than for you. Okay. We're calling the function fun. Okay. So in fun, static variable x is declared, and that x we're returning it. Okay. So here int return type is there. So whatever integer value it will function will return, that will be printed here. Okay. So what will be the output? Only four. One replied. I think there is a for loop is there. People are missing that for loop. So minimum it will run that for loop itself. It will run 5 times. Because 0 to 5. Okay, less than 5 were given means 5 times minimum it will run it. 0 to 4. One answer. Any other answers? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. One is given as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. X is not initialized, so garbage value. Good. Okay. Someone is applied as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So here this x is a static variable. So what will happen? So when we are calling first time fn function, so that time this x variable will be allocated. Okay. So as someone was telling now just now, this x, if it is declared as a static, so entire this program gets executed, this variable will remain. Okay. So suppose if I am not declared this as a static, if I declared as a only int x, so whenever that function will get over, that time memory will be deallocated for that variable. Okay. So now here in this one, what is happening is we declared as a static, so entire this program get executed, this variable will remain same, and only once memory will be allocated. Okay. So whenever first time this function is called, that time this memory will be allocated for x variable. Okay. And we defined as a static now. So by default static variables will be initialized to 0. Okay. So here we will not get any garbage value. Okay. So by default x variable is initialized to 0. So now by default 0 onwards it will start. So x plus plus we are returning it. So what is the value? First value it will return is 1. So 1 to 5 it will print it. Okay. If I remove that static keyword, okay, if I remove this one static keyword, so what will happen? What will be the output now? The screen is visible. Sorry. Okay, someone replied as all zeros. Okay. Any other answer? If I remove that static keyword, okay, what will happen? 5 times again you are calling the function, but 5 times garbage value will come. Okay. So now x is not defined. So by default, Dikshita, switch off your audio. Okay, so 5 times what will happen, this garbage value will come. So every time some different maybe memory will be allocated or same, or that time it may happen as a incremented. Depending on system, you may get 5 different values or 2 different kind of values. Okay, depending on its system, it depends on completely which your system and what all processes you are running, it depends on that you will get the different values. So here every time what is happening is x variable is allocating also and deallocating also. So whenever we are calling this function, so that time this memory for x variable is allocating, then it's deallocating. Okay, so this is the static variable. Now we'll go for static function. So what is static function? Heard? Yes or no? Static function, like whatever variable was there, like that function. You heard this one, static function? Think you people heard at least global variable and static variable. So you came to know that global variable and static variable differences. Like that you have functions also, static function and global function. So which one is the global function, and can I make it as a static function? Anything? Make this one as an interactive section. Switch off your, okay, no answers. One or two at least response. Ravi, Ravi Harimat.
A static function is a function which can access only its class's function, only that function's variable, and cannot access any other variables. And it can only access static variables.
No, 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 it's not like that. Just a function means what, within that whatever will come, it will access it. It may be, we can't say as a it can't access from other function or some other part. Okay, so obviously if you are defining any function means you are restricting some data within that function only. Okay, so always it will be there with that
The
particular function
static
only.
function,
Hmm. Okay.
the static functions means the variables or any data that is used within that function will be remaining within that location itself. And global functions can be accessed, and the variables or any data that is used in global functions can be used throughout the program.
Throughout the program. Okay, so one thing I will tell you, first thing in this one is, here whatever till now you people are written functions. Okay, so suppose you written as a main, and above that user defined some functions, you written this one. Okay, so suppose if I written this main function here, okay, and I am written this one. So by default whatever you people are written, all are global variables, so sorry, all are global functions. Okay, so these all whatever we are returning it, these all are global. It means entire the program, this function you can see it. Okay, so and in a program you may have n number of files. Okay, so n number of .c files you can have it, or .c++ files you can have it. So throughout all those files this function is visible. So that's why we are saying as a, this one is a global. Okay, now if I want to make it as a static, okay, so that time what will happen, suppose if I written here as a, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so here if I written as a one program that contains two files, that is 1.c and 2.c, we have two files. Okay, so if I written as a one function, that is now I am using keyword as a static here. Okay, if I use a keyword as a static here, what will happen, this function is limited to only this file, that is 1.c file. Okay, so here this function we can't see it in 2.c file now. Okay, so we're restricting the area of this function, that is throughout the file of whatever it's defined. So here we defined this one inside 1.c, so this entire thing is visible only to 1.c functions only. It's not visible outside 1.c. It's like namespace you are using it indirectly. Okay, so here this is a static one. And if suppose I have as a 2.c, so in that I'm written, because since it's a one program, so one place I will be having the main. So in 2.c I have written the main function. Okay, so here I'm suppose I want to use fun function. Okay, so it's not defined in 2.c, so I'm saying as a extern 2.c, sorry, extern fun open bracket close bracket. So here we are saying is just declared this function somewhere else. Okay, so when I will try to run this one, you will get the error. Okay, so why we will get the error? Because this fun what we thought in 2.c, 1.c file is defined it, and it's a global one. Okay, but in 1.c it's defined, but it's a static one, so its visibility is related to only 1.c file. Okay, so we can't see it in 2.c, so that's why it will give the error. Okay, so same thing, just I will declare it once again, that is nothing but I will remove the static keyword here. Okay, if I removed it one, so what will happen is in 2.c it can see as there is a function fun which is declared somewhere outside, that is nothing but 1.c file, it's declared it. So directly I can use it. So here I am saying as a external, this function is external to this file, that 2.c file, this is an external one, we can use it here. Okay, so in 2.c you can use it, and it is declared and defined in 1.c. Okay, so this is a basic concept how static function and global functions will be there. Okay, now if I saw this one, this is the by default normally we'll use it. Okay, that is, we'll declare normally global functions, and if any external is there, that will use it. So your, if you saw your printf statement also, this printf also defined as a globally actually. Okay, and you are including hash stdio.h, hash include stdio.h, whatever you are including it there, it is declared it. So you can see it as a, that is a declared as a external there in that .h file, it's declared as a external. So wherever it is defined it, from there it will take it. Getting the difference, or shall I revise anything? Shall I revise anything? Okay, here this is nothing but, okay, here this is like printf or scanf, those are already declared in .h file. Okay, that .h file you are including it stdio.h, then it's defined somewhere, that directly will use it whenever you are calling it. Okay, so now there's a difference whatever we are studying it previously, so that is nothing but ANSYS C and C++. Okay, now in ANSYS C, if any function is like this, it's declared it. Okay, there is nothing but just declared as a for. Okay, and in another file if I'm using it, it will think like definition is like this, that is using means I can send n number of parameters in ANSYS C. It will think as a, for example, one function is there, we don't know about its how many parameters taking it, so I can declare external int for it means it can take n number of parameters. But in C++, that is restricted. Okay, that is nothing but here actual function definition is only for open bracket close bracket, only this much is there. But in C++ compiler it's converted as a wide, means if you are sending any argument also, it will not receive it. Here wide inside if you declared means it's nothing but you are not receiving any arguments. And here you, it indicates you can receive n number of arguments, more than one argument you can receive it. Your printf and scanf functions are written like using just only, so that is nothing but you can send n number of arguments. So that's why in while printing also you can print as a in double quote comma variable, n number of variable names you will give it. So those all are considered as a different parameters, and it will be sent to the that function. So those all will be received. Any doubts related to this one? Yes or no? No doubts. Okay. So we'll move ahead. Okay. It's nothing but next one. Okay. Memory allocation. I think already you people know it. What is malloc, alloc, realloc? Okay. What is malloc? some specified number of bytes memory will be allocated. What is calloc? There some number of objects, then specified size for each object we will mention it, so that much memory will be allocated. And realloc is nothing but whatever previously allocated memory is there, that you want to deallocate it and allocate new memory. Okay, so these all things will use it normally while you allocating randomly some memory. Okay, that is nothing but dynamically memory. Whenever you are allocating, that time you will use it. Malloc, calloc and realloc. So what is difference between malloc and calloc? Malloc and calloc, any difference? Number of parameters passing is different. Yes, okay, that is nothing but we are saying as in malloc directly we are giving how many bytes memory you should allocate it, directly will give it. In calloc we are giving number of variables, okay, comma, then each variable size we are giving it, so it will multiply those two numbers, then it will allocate the overall size. Okay, so other than this, any other difference is there? So this is what I was saying, this is nothing but here total directly we are giving the size. Okay, so in calloc you are giving the size plus how many objects you have to allocate it. Okay, so that also you will give it, so both together it will give the calloc will give the completely number of bytes of memory, that much bytes of memory it will give it. So other than this, one more difference is there is whenever you are using malloc, by default memory will be having the garbage value. Okay, so by default only it will allocate the memory, then it will give the garbage values also. Okay, but in calloc it will erase all that memory and it will keep as a zero or null. If it is depending on what kind of object you are passing it, depending on that it will give zero or null. Zero whenever you are using numerical values, whenever you are using pointer kind of things, that time it will allocate as a null for a malloc and sorry, for a calloc. Okay, this is the one more difference between malloc and calloc. And realloc is nothing but whenever you have one pointer, there is already memory is allocated, that is dynamically only, it should not be a static one. Okay, dynamically memory is allocated, so that pointer you have to pass it and you have to say as a this one you deallocate it and give me a new size memory. Okay, so new size also we will mention it here. Okay, so that much memory will be allocated. So if whatever previously allocated memory was huge and now you are asking is that is less memory compared to previous one, there is no problem, automatically it will reallocate it. If you are asking more memory compared to previously whatever existing was there, so it depends on the system, it will vary it. So that is what sometimes in system you may not have that much sufficient memory, that time system will crash or system will return as a realloc failure. So there is nothing but again internal it will happen as if you have some exception handling for that, you will handle it, or again system will crash it. Okay, that depends on completely your system how you are handling it. Okay, so depending on this we have memory layout in C programs. So can anyone tell what is text segment? Quickly respond some of you.
Part
Previous
of a program.
part of the program, no, previously I was discussing same thing, that is a code segment and data segment. Here code segment itself is a one more name for code segment is nothing but text segment. Okay, so what is that? Is code segment nothing but segment of machine code. Okay, so whatever program you written, that instructions, all instructions are nothing but your text segment only. So that is nothing but instructions you written, those all instructions are nothing but your text segment. Okay, so then one more thing will be there, that is nothing but initialized data segment. So what is initialized data segment? variable or data structure. Okay. So here initialized data segment is nothing but variables whatever you declared and initialized. Okay, suppose in a function I have as a int a. Okay, so only if I declared that one, if I am not initialized, that will go inside this one more part, that is nothing but uninitialized data segment. Okay, so here data segment is nothing but whatever variables you are creating, those are all are will consider as a data segment. So in that again you have two parts, that is nothing but initialized and uninitialized. So here initialized is nothing but you created the variable plus you initialize it, that is 0 or some value, by default value you will give it. Those all are considered as initialized data segment. And one more is uninitialized data segment. So by default that will be considered as a some variables which are declared but not initialized. So if you saw the previous program whatever we written, so there static, here x we get returned. So this is not initialized, so system will by default will initialize it. Okay, so system by default for, okay, not this one, sorry. Okay, actually here static keyword was there, that keyword we removed. Okay, so here if I have as a static here, so what will happen, so this is not initialized. Okay, so by default system will initialize this variable x as a 0. So that part will come here. Okay, so that is something but here uninitialized whatever is there, so in that variable name will come, and for that depending on memory it may be a static or dynamic, so it will allocate the corresponding values. If it is a using calloc is allocated, okay, so in heap it will go and it will give the some zero values. Okay, and if it is a static data variable is there, so that time by default some value will be initialized to this one. Okay, so depending on this one we have one more two more things as a, that is nothing but so after that we have, that is nothing but stack and heap. Okay, what is stack is nothing but you will be having the corresponding value you are returning it, or whatever function you are calling, so that time your whatever argument you are passing, that will be there inside a stack. Okay, so and heap whatever dynamically memory you are allocating, that will be there inside a heap. So here, so normally you will be having the memory layout like this. So text segment in the bottom, so that is nothing but lower address, so whatever will be there from that will start it. So your actual all code will remain inside this text segment only. So after that immediately data segment will come. So in data segment we have two parts, these two together is a data segment. So in data segment below one is initialized. So user while giving the declaring the variable whatever he initialized, that will come in initialized data segment. Okay, then uninitialized data segment, so your system has to initialize it. So that is something what like static int whatever was there, like that if anything is there it will come here. So above that there are two more sections, that is nothing but stack and heap. Okay, so in between memory will be blank will be there. So starting small amount of stack and small amount of heap memory will be there. So those two are growing in opposite direction. Okay, stack is going in the below direction, heap is going in the above direction. Okay, so whenever you are allocating the memories, okay, or if you are calling more number of functions, so stack will increase its size, and if you are allocating the dynamically more memory, heap will keep on increasing. So heap will keep on increasing in upward direction, stack will keep on increasing in downward direction. So how many functions internally will call, okay, those functions return values or whatever argument you are passing it, those all will be kept inside a stack. Okay, and command line arguments. Okay, what is command line argument? Anyone can say it? Command line arguments and environment variables. Okay, those things will be there in stack only. So what is command line argument? In previous sem lab we studied this one.
They are used in main function.
They are used in main function. Okay, So in detail again we have in this syllabus also. Okay, so that is nothing but command line argument. So for a process, whenever you are trying to create it, you are passing some argument. Okay, so here whenever you are executing any program, so always it will start with main. So main function has to receive the argument. Okay, so because of when you are running the program, one process will be created. For that process you want to send the some arguments. That is nothing but from command you are sending the some arguments. So main function has to receive it. So main function will receive the two kinds of arguments are there: argc, ARJ, ARGC, and ARJV. Okay, so these two are there. So those will receive it in main. Okay, so that will call as a command line arguments. So those also whatever will come, so by default those will be kept in stack. Okay, then again environment variables also. So a third parameter we can pass to the main, that is environment variables. Some variables you can pass it. Okay, so those all together, okay, it will be kept in your stack. Any doubts till now? Yes or no? Okay. We'll stop here only.